Bleh. Sissy is a brand new film out of Australia. It's a Shudder exclusive. I didn't even know it was Australian until they hit a kangaroo. I mean, everybody had Australian-ish accents, but for whatever reason, I did not put two and two together. Sissy is about a girl named Sissy who now goes by the name Cecilia, and she has a brand called Sincerely Cilia, which is ironic because she's anything but sincere. She's an influencer on an Instagram-like app, and she's just celebrated having 200,000 followers. She does like mental health style content, and she's really good at what she does. And she gets what we all get from social media: love and adoration from strangers or people we don't know very well. There is absolutely something to be said about the euphoria that one can feel when they get a lot of views or a lot of likes, or when someone just leaves a really nice comment. You don't know what's going on in somebody's personal life outside of the nice, neat plastic, diorama that they put up on their social media channels. Celia, aka Sissy, bumps into Emma, her childhood best friend, and we get a little bit of flashback stuff, seeing how they were best friends, yada, yada, yada. And she's like super freaked to see her childhood best friend and tries to avoid her initially, but Emma catches up and is like, yo, come on, come out with me. I'm getting married. She has a fiance. I forget her name. Fran. Her name was Fran. Fran is her fiance. She's an American, a psychology student, and they're planning to get hitched before they move to America, where Fran is continuing her master's degree in psychology. There's supposed to be some sort of parallel between Fran being a psychology, actually into psychology, while Cecilia is slightly more superficial in the fact that she's clearly very damaged behind the scenes, but presents this persona of someone who is a bastion of mental health with really great mental health advice, which is entirely possible. It's kind of valid. So Cecilia meets up with Emma and her friends, and they have a fun karaoke night, and drunkenly Emma invites Cecilia to the hen party. And I was a little confused. I guess that's an Australian thing. Instead of a bachelorette party, you do a hen's party or a hen party. And of course, Emma has convinced Celia to join her. Celia doesn't really want to. She's cautious. And mind you, Emma keeps calling her Sissy. Sissy is this overarching theme of what she used to be called and how it made her feel, and that she is a sissy, and when she wants to be known as Cecilia, when in fact that's not really sincere either. That's not, deep down inside, she is Sissy. She always has been, as we will later learn at the end of the film. I mean, this film has a lot of Carrie and a lot of, Mean Girls in its DNA, which is great. I didn't really know where the story was going to go, so I was just kind of along for the ride. I didn't know how it was going to unravel. I thought it was going to be a straight up revenge story, which is what really hooked me into wanting to see it. But that's not exactly what we got, and I was okay with that. The story does start to unravel a little bit for me, personally. For me, it starts to unravel a little bit as we get through the middle eight. But there is a lot of show and very little tell, which is something that I love. I love it when a movie shows me things. It doesn't tell me things. It doesn't tell me things through expositionary dialogue. That's not to say we can't learn things through dialogue. You can still show through dialogue. But that doesn't mean straight up breaking the fourth wall and being somehow Emperor Palpatine has come back from the dead. You know what I mean? And then the hook comes into play. When we arrive at the weekend destination, we find out that Alex, the maid of honor and Emma's best friend, turns out to be also Sissy's arch nemesis, Cecilia's arch nemesis. Something happened between the three of them, Emma, Alex, and Cecilia, and it caused a massive rift with Cecilia moving forward. Cecilia lost herself for reasons unknown and brutally scarred up. And this is when the Mean Girls stuff really comes. All the friends kind of turn on Cecilia. The interesting contrast here is that Cecilia has 200,000 followers and is a very successful influencer, but she doesn't really have any friends. She's all alone. While Emma is not any of those things and has lots of friends and is not alone and feels very rich for that reason. As I said, Cecilia is medicating herself with the love and adoration that she's getting from her fan base. What's funny is the movie technically could have ended if at that moment when Alex realized that Cecilia was there, the girl that gave me this nasty scar on my face, she could have just been like, no, get the fuck out of here. I don't want her here. She's trouble. And if she had left, and Cecilia clearly didn't want to be there. So that's like probably the most contrived part of the story, which, you kind of have to get over a little bit. I was fine. That was okay for me. I didn't mind that. But that was a little contrived because you would think this sort of social scenario, I feel like, would never really happen. People that don't really want other people to be there would be vocal about it, and people who don't really want to be there or feel uncomfortable about being there might not go or would walk away. The hardest suspension of disbelief for me was that Emma would bump into a strange friend who scarred up her other friend and then invite her to her hen's party, even if she was doing it insincerely, because she later says to Alex, she's like, I didn't know she was going to really show up, that sort of thing. And slowly, Cecilia snaps and she starts murdering all the friends one by one. Now, what's interesting is on some subconscious level, Cecilia is trying to get back to that place where they were when she was 12. That seems to be the last time that she truly had any sort of meaningful real life friendship. And in order to get back there, she needs to make sure that everybody else is out of the picture. And so one by one, she brutally murders all of Emma's friends and her fiance. What I would have liked, what I felt was like a miss, again, I really enjoyed this film, top to bottom. There were a couple of places I was kind of hoping it was going to go and it didn't go. It would have been cool to see a little bit more of a tension buildup between Alex and Celia. I was missing that. I was craving that. I wanted that. I thought we were going to go there. It doesn't. It doesn't end up going there. There's a great scene where they're all talking shit about Celia and how tragic she is and ridiculous and how we all don't like her and what really happened where she scarred up Alex's face and Cecilia's eavesdropping, and it kind of makes Cecilia crack a little bit, and that's when she basically realizes that I need to have Emma to myself, and the only way that's going to happen, the only way I can embrace what was in the time capsule is to murder all of Emma's friends. There was a time capsule that they buried as kids and had forgotten about, and Cecilia, she dug it up and brought it as a gift, and it had a camcorder tape, and where they're doing stuff on the camcorder and talking about what they're gonna, when we're old, we want to like be in the same nursing home and be best friends forever, that sort of deal. So symbolically, their friendship is this box, and by the end, Emma's so upset with everything that's happened and, all the death and dismemberment that she takes the box and she throws it in the fireplace, symbolically destroying the symbol of their friendship. There's a lot of lambasting sort of satire on, influencers and, just all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that we like to roast the digital generations for. I don't know how I would describe the tone. It's kind of like, the tone is kind of like aloof and quirky in a satirish kind of way. That's the best I can verbally describe it off the top of my head. I generally don't like to read reviews after I see something. I want to formulate my own opinions, and that's the best words that I can come up with off the top of my head. I also noticed there's a lot of interesting split diopter shots, and that's where, you have somebody in a super close-up and somebody in the background, and you split the shot so you can have both things in focus, because normally you can't have two things in focus. If something is back here and something is up here, you can either rack focus to whatever is back there or what is up here, and it's called a split diopter. Brian De Palma made it famous, does it in all of his films, and it's easy to spot once you know what to look for, and they used it a bunch in some of the flashbacks. I thought that was interesting. At one point, Sissy is given a mask to put on, like a, beauty mask sort of thing. And what's interesting is when the beauty mask goes on, it like sort of reveals her true self, like that she's always wearing this mask. That's why, the name Sincerely Celia is so ridiculous. Also, they kind of come full circle with that kangaroo scene. They hit a kangaroo early on and put it out of its misery. And the same thing happens with Fran. Cecilia breaks short. Fran isn't wearing her seatbelt. She goes through the windshield, and Cecilia does the humane thing, as what Fran said about the kangaroo, because Fran is like, give me the keys, I'm going to run over the kangaroo's head, and that's exactly what happens to her, some sort of karmatic justice. And it is a head popping that is toxic Avenger level satisfying, if you know what I'm talking about. Definitely recommend this one. It's streaming on Shudder. I thought the directors did a really great job. And like I said, yes, there were some missed opportunities to, up the tension, which is what I wanted personally as a viewer. But the movie is great. The movie works fine without those expectations. Check it out now.